The night broadcast had always been Mark's time. He loved those hours when most of the city slept, and his voice traveled through the darkness to reach truck drivers, students, paramedics, anyone who needed a companion in the silence of night. The studio smelled of coffee and dust from the old microphone. The red, on air, light glowed softly. Mark adjusted the control panel and, smiling, spoke into the mic. "Good evening, friends. This is Midnight Confessions. Call in, share your stories. Tonight's theme is fear." The calls came in one after another. A woman spoke about nightmares, a student about exams. Everything was normal until that voice, hoarse, distorted, as though filtered through an old tape. "Tomorrow, in St. George's Park, they'll find a girl's body." Mark froze. "Excuse me, what did you just say? Is this some kind of joke?" "No, tomorrow morning. By the bench near the fountain. Her name was Clara." The line went dead. Mark shook his head, tried to laugh it off on air, and switched to music. But the next day, the news reported. In St. George's Park, a murdered young woman had been found. Her name was Clara. He didn't know what to think. A few days later, the voice called again. "Tonight, on the outskirts of town, a house will burn. A man will die. His name was Luca." On air, Mark forced a laugh. "Friends, someone is playing the prophet of doom here. Don't take it seriously." But the next morning, the headlines screamed, "A fire, one dead." The owner's name was Luca. The calls became regular. The voice predicted tragedies, and they always came true. Mark started recording every call, studying each word. Sometimes, in the distorted tones, he heard strange inflections, almost as if he were talking to himself. One night, the caller said, "You already know how this has happened before." The words drilled into his mind, leaving a burning unease. Mark decided to go to the police. He handed over the tapes. Days later, he got a call back from the station. "We ran a voice analysis," the officer said. "And here's the strange part. The caller's voice matches yours." "What?" Mark laughed nervously, thinking it was a prank. But the officer was dead serious. Mark replayed the recordings again and again. It was his voice. Distorted, yes, but unmistakably his. Terror took root. Meanwhile, his show's ratings skyrocketed. Listeners obsessed over the ghost voice, spinning theories online. But for Mark, it was turning into a nightmare. He began losing time. Whole hours disappeared. Sometimes he woke up in the studio with no memory of how he got there. Winter came. One especially cold night, the phone rang again. "The next victim will be the one who walks into your studio tonight." Mark went cold. He locked the door, checked the bolts twice. The words echoed in his skull. Every sound, a rustle, a creak, felt like a threat. Then came a knock. It was Lisa, the intern who had been helping for a few months. She brought coffee and printouts. "Are you insane?" Mark almost shouted. "Get out! Now!" She blinked in confusion. "But I just... Out!" Frightened, Lisa backed away and left. Mark was alone again. Then the phone rang. The voice laughed. "You'll do it yourself." On the console lay a fresh tape, already cued. He pressed play. It was his own voice. "Tonight, you will die live on air." Mark froze. His hands trembled. In the reflection of the studio glass, he saw his own face. But in his eyes flickered something foreign, something not his. The red, on-air light glowed. The microphone waited, and the night kept listening to his voice.